In a compound of 4 or 5 houses nestled deep in the woods, the happiest of families sat comfortably around their large dining room table. The women discussed the most recent election, and the old man at the head of the table whistled, entirely engrossed by the sparrow perched outside. The sparrow took flight, soaring high above the tall trees whose dark green leaves veiled the forest floor. Our fair sparrow soared, arching, circling, diving, but to what end? While its mind was fixed in the clouds, its small body plummeted towards the earth. 2 boys snuck away from the table during a lull in the conversation. Open and curious to the world, they took playful steps atop small white stones that led to the forest. A winding path cut through the garden on the sloped backside of the house. Down, down, down the forest. Droplets of dew crept down the spines of spiked leaves, silently inching towards the pointed precipice. Rays of light snuck through the canopy and danced with the wind on the earth. The paths diverged. The boys took the one that appeared more trodden by reindeer. The boys saw a golden butterfly fly into a small hole in the trunk of a tree near to them. The curiosity of the boys lured them towards the small hole, which grew in parallel with their excited steps towards it. Then, on tiptoes, peeking into the opening, the boys somersaulted and fell through the hole into a hollowed-out trunk. In the time it takes for the wings of our fair sparrow to flap just a single time, the hole closed behind them, and the boys were shrouded in darkness. A faint ring of light suddenly illuminated the darkness. "Hello?" Lee called out, as if expecting the lights to respond. "Hello." So frightened by the voice, the boys leapt into each other's arms. "Jesus Christ!" they exclaimed. "No," the voice announced. "This is Almerta, but Jesus Christ is inside. How may I assist you?" Trying to unscramble their minds, they asked out loud if they were dreaming. "Certainly not. How you ended up here, my system cannot describe. I was built to only allow a single man, but you are here nonetheless. Where exactly is here?" Most of our residents simply choose to call this place home. "I've just been informed that the residents are ready to receive you two," said Almerta. "Are we ready to be received?" Alex, the older brother, asked. With no response, the space they inhabited began to descend. A small screen appeared in front of them, showing their position. -1, -2, -3, on and on until they arrived at floor -18, which the screen indicated as the main lobby. From the inside of the elevator, the shuffling of footsteps and hushed conversation could be heard, but as the doors opened, all fell silent. With anticipation, the elevator doors retracted and exposed the 2 visitors. A sea of 100 heads bobbed in front of the boys. They looked from face to face and showed increased stupefaction as they realized who stood in front of them. The hundreds of faces were men and women of legend, the people you read about in history class, the greatest thinkers, philosophers, politicians, and scientists who have ever lived stood in front of them. Einstein, Newton, Plato, Aristotle, and Galileo. Furthermore, not just rich white men resided in the lobby. Women, young and old, colored faces with thick, curly black hair, all stood together. All these people really did appear to be standing in front of them. A man from the crowd approached the boys, who seemed to be nearing the brink of insanity at this point, and said the following: "Greeting, kind visitors. Sorry for our confused looks. We were not expecting you. My name is Gandhi, and this," he said with a sweeping gesture, "is a place we like to call home." The boys had been so transfixed by all that had happened that they were just now beginning to look around at their surroundings. The main lobby was a gigantic room with 30-foot-high ceilings, white marble floors, and a massive black monolith made of onyx in the dead center. Still, this room appeared only to be part of a much larger whole, as oak doors, roughly 30, opened from the main lobby to long passages leading to more doors. After a long look around, the boys gathered their wits and addressed the crowd, who were patiently waiting to hear from the alien visitors. "Hello everyone, my name is Alex Newsom. This is my younger brother Lee Newsom." "Hi," Lee said softly, so that the tips of his fingers did not pass above his sternum as he waved. "I can promise that we are just as confused as you are. We were visiting a relative's home, just a few minutes up the path, when we went out to the forest to explore. We followed a golden butterfly, chased it into the hole of a tree, and were consumed by said tree. We met Almerta and ended up here, clearly to everyone's surprise." The crowd nodded along. A young woman ran to the 2 of them. "Oh, how scared the 2 of you must have been. Please excuse us. Where are our manners? My name is Marie Curie. Let us show you around. Slowly the crowd dispersed and returned to whatever they had been doing before the visitors arrived. Can we explore a little bit on our own? Lee asked. This place looks awesome. It is awesome, Mary responded. Of course you can. You two are our guests. Make yourselves at home. Just try not to break anything, she said with a smile. And off the boys went, through the many doors, to discover what lay beyond them. Of the 30 doors that led out from the main lobby, the boys headed straight to the first door on the right. Well, of course they did this because they were both right-handed, or because Mary had glanced in that direction while bidding them farewell, or because it was simply closest. Alex felt that he had chosen this door on his own accord. Did he? Why did the boys not enter through the first door on the left, or the larger door in front of them? Why did they not marvel at the looming monolith? Was it fate that they entered the first door on the right? And did choosing that door have any consequence? Did it matter what door they chose? Was it random? And to conclude this thought, because it could go on forever, I asked that if this entire scenario, the one I have laid out in the page above, was simulated down to the most minute detail, until just after the moment Marie had sent them off, would the different simulated versions of Alex and Lee have always chosen the first door on the right, or would they have chosen a different door? Anyways, the first door on the right took them through a corridor which led to 2 more doors. The door on the left had a gold placard that read, Food A, and the door on the right had a placard that read, Food B. Upon entering Food A, they were greeted by a young woman with an accent indicating she had origins in the Deep South. The boys were unaware of this, but she was the daughter of a wealthy plantation owner and secretly educated dozens of slaves throughout her life, brought them to freedom, and brought them to the north where they led difficult lives but maintained a level of prosperity and freedom unheard of for any African Americans at the time. Before her, 3 people tended to long rows of plants. These plants grew in advanced hydroponic systems that stood at waist level. Welcome guys, glad you'll stop by. This is the garden. We grow over a dozen varieties of fruits and another dozen varieties of veggies. Here, try these mangoes. With outstretched hands, the boys accepted her offering gratefully. They were quite hungry since they had left the table before dinner had been served and were expected to eat. Delicious, they said with a happy sigh. Right? Everything we eat is grown in rooms Food A or B, and not to brag, but through careful experimentation, differing levels of water and fertilizers, and genetic manipulation, we have pretty much perfected the art of agriculture, all accumulating in that mango you hold in your hand. But don't get me wrong, it took years and years to fine-tune our process. It would be easy to see that perfect mango and think that it came at no cost, but it takes discipline and endless experimentation to create anything of quality. You will talk to plenty of people down here who will tell you to live in the moment, but do not neglect all that it took to get to the moment. If we look closely, we can see ourselves in history. Let those who came before us be as Socrates was to Plato and as Plato was to Aristotle, Alex confirmed. Have you met them yet? I'm sure you will soon, Mary said, definitely.